Aha, what did you think of that? I told you last time I was going to put some music on it. Well, hello and good evening. This is Suzanne Knaber-Nicole from the Police Science Doctor. Well, there wasn't going to be another word on there, so from Police Science Doctor, that's me. Hello and welcome back to your weekly dosage of police science snippets. So I sent these snippets out to my email list every week, every Tuesday as it happens. And I would love for you to join that list if you're interested in policey and sciencey things and how research influences policing, how it can improve policing, but in a very practical way. So what I do as police science doctor is I translate research findings into something you can actually use. And these science snippets, they are quite difficult for me to pick because the one criterion that I choose by is that the snippet be something that you can act on immediately or you can start thinking about immediately. So nothing that is very theoretical, but something that you as a police practitioner, if that's what you are, if that's who you are, can use in some way, shape or form straight away. But before I get to those, I've got another special announcement. You may have already seen it as a post on YouTube or Facebook, but this Thursday evening, so that's 2 days from now, Thursday, the 21st of February, 2021, I'm going to do a live interview of Dr. Patrick Tidmarsh. I'm going to do it live just as I'm doing this, which is a bit of a challenge because I've never done it before. I'm hoping that it will go well, but I don't know. So this is going to be streamed just as this is to YouTube, to Facebook, and to Twitter. So wherever you're watching this, you should be able to watch the interview taking place live. That's 7:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Thursday. So 7:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time is 2:30 if you're at Eastern Time in New York and places like that. Patrick, as it happens, is in Melbourne in Australia. So he's going to get up at 6 o'clock and he'll be live with me here at 6:30 in the morning. I'm hoping he will get dressed before actually coming and joining us live. But the interesting thing about that is that if you're there as well with us, you can actually ask us questions. So, well, not me necessarily, but you can ask Patrick questions. Now, Patrick is Dr. Patrick Tidmarsh. He's an academic who's been working with Victoria Police for quite a while, and he developed something called the whole story approach. And it's something about, it's a way of investigating sexual crimes that goes beyond the actual incident in question, but looks at the context of it. And the idea behind that is to do more justice to the victim and the offender, and to have a much more balanced view. And it also challenges a lot of preconceptions that the police have. I don't know that much about it yet, so it'll be very interesting for me to find out, for me to learn along with you about this whole story approach. So you can join us if you want, and you can actually ask questions as well. So as I said, I haven't done this yet. I'm not sure how these questions will pop up, but hopefully I'll see them. If you have any comments and any questions for Patrick, I can read them out to him. And he can maybe answer them if we get to it during the live interview. Now, with Facebook, I'm told you actually have to allow StreamYard. The StreamYard is the software I'm using right now to broadcast to you. Let me just show you what their logo looks like. So that's StreamYard there. I just changed the logo in the middle, getting rid of that, putting mine as my logo now. You need to somehow give them permission to show your comments to the streamer, as in me. So when you join, I guess if you click on the link on Facebook, so there's a post on there already. If you're on my email list, I have emailed you the actual link. But maybe if you're on Facebook at the time, you will get a notification that I'm going live. It's 7:30 GMT on Thursday in 2 days. You might have to give Facebook or StreamYard permission through Facebook to show your comments, or just go on YouTube or Twitter. Right, where was I? Okay, so have I shown you this picture? Oh, no, I was going to show you that. So that's Patrick. This is the announcement picture thumbnail. Let me just get rid of it's not Tidmarsh, it's Tidmarsh. There you go. So that's whom I'll be interviewing on Thursday. So I hope all the tech works out. I hope nothing goes wrong, and I hope if you join us that you enjoy it. I will record the video, I will do some editing, and I'll upload it to my website, policesciencedoctor.com, as usual. once I've done subtitles and everything like that to make it a better experience for you. Now, enough of that. So on to the science snippet. So hopefully there'll be something of interest to you. The three I've selected for today are, one is about the investigation of sexual offenses and attrition. Now, attrition is the fancy word for victims basically disengaging from the process. So they've made a complaint to police that a sexual offense took place, but for a variety of reasons, many of them leave the investigative process and they stop supporting the police. Now, the finding here is that most of that attrition happens very early on in the process, so way before any decisions are made about whether there's enough evidence to actually charge the person or not. That means if it's all in this early process, the main interactions they have there is usually with police. So does it have anything to do with what the victim experiences like with the police and with the early investigative process? Now, if you're involved in investigations of sexual offenses, what could you do to make this a better process for the victim, to make it more fair, more transparent, keep them up to date? That's very important. Show a lot of empathy and understanding. Be very open-minded. Patrick I'm sure, will talk a lot more about that as well in his interview on Thursday. But what can you as the police, as investigators do to get the rates of attrition down? If most of it happens, as it was stated in this article, in the early process. So it's got nothing to do with the courts yet, with the decision to take it to in Britain to the Crown Prosecution Service to get a charging decision. Do we have enough evidence to take this to court? It's not about that yet. It's much earlier in the process. So what can we do about that? The second snippet I've got for you is about detecting deception. So when you compare, I think this was about written statements. When you compare written statements, those that are truthful to those that are deceptive, as in lies, they found different features in both those groups. Now, so for example, the true accounts tended to contain more words overall. There were more unique details, as in details that weren't repeated over and over. There was more sensory information. So what something felt like, what it sounded like, what it looked like, what it seemed like. That's because the person was actually there and they had that sensory input. They have formed those sensory memories. And lies tended to be less plausible, contain repeated details. So somebody did make the effort of thinking of some details, but they repeated those because they didn't make the effort of think of other details as well. They lacked the contextual embedding, so the big picture, and they had more omissions. So things were just not mentioned. They tend to, because there's a certain amount of cognitive load that is required to fabricate a lie and to try and make it believable. There's a lot you need to remember because you're putting that information there rather than it being already there in your memory. The cognitive load is higher. So in order to try and stay on top of that, liars tend to reduce how much they say. They only say what's necessary and they leave out what they can. An interesting fact here, the average human is right about whether someone is lying or telling the truth only about 54% of the time. That's basically the same as random chance. So you might as well flip a coin. I've heard somewhere, but I don't know if that is true or not. I've heard somewhere that there's research to say that actually police officers are even worse, and they tend to veer towards the side of not believing the person because of the job, because of the kind of people they deal with day in, day out. It's very, very understandable, but they actually seem to be less believing than the average person who's already very rubbish at telling lies from truth. The third science snippet today is related to the geography of offending, and is something called distance decay. Now, distance decay means that if you have the home base or the base where an offender lives or works or hangs out a lot, that becomes their base. The further away a certain location is from that base, the less likely it is that the offender will offend there. So areas not in the immediate vicinity, there's usually a buffer zone where they don't tend to offend because they don't want to be offending too close to home. But beyond that buffer zone, the locations that are closest to that offender are at much higher risk of being burgled or damaged or whatever the offense may be than offenses that are further out. So the further out the locations go from, in distance from the offender's home, the less likely they are to be victimized as locations. So that is called distance decay. It's a term from geographic profiling. Right, so these were the 3 science snippets for this week. I hope there was something in there of interest to you. If you are someone who comes across research, who reads articles, who's got some interesting findings saved somewhere, please send them to me. If they are suitable, I'd be more than happy to include them in my weekly email. Me doing this by myself is a lot of work, and I don't actually have that many articles saved to go through. And because I'm not studying anymore, I don't have access myself. If you work for a university and you want to give me access to your online library, please do, I need it. Or if you can contribute in any way, send me interesting articles that you think might be interesting to share with the police science doctor community. And if you do that, then I'll, if you send me your snippet, then I'll fully credit who you are, where you work or what you study. And yeah, but if you have interesting material, please just make sure you send that in. And that was it. Let me just flush this one up a little bit more. So don't forget about the interview on Thursday. Keep your fingers crossed. I hope that everything goes well, and I hope to see you there. Now, at the end, I've got a tiny little fun quiz for you. It's not one of my usual quizzes that I have at the end of videos to check if you've been paying attention. This is completely unrelated. So if you just put something in the comments, if you know where this is from, and many of you will, then just put down where it's from. This is the way.